I should have walked away. That's the truth I keep replaying. Not from the kiss, not from the bed, but from the moment I saw the blood on those white sheets and realized she had trusted me with something I didn't deserve. I froze, and I've never forgiven myself for what I thought it meant. You need to understand something about me first. I live by control, schedules, boundaries, rules. I'm 38, a single dad, CEO of a media company I built from the ground up after my wife died. I learned the hard way that chaos takes everything from you if you let it. So I stopped letting it. Then came the year-end party. Music too loud. Champagne everywhere. Laughter that didn't belong to me. And Lena Moore standing alone on the balcony like she was trying not to break. I had noticed her long before that. Night, quiet, sharp, thoughtful. She never tried to impress anyone. She just did the work better than most. I respected her, maybe more than I allowed myself to admit. When I walked out to the balcony and asked, "You okay?" Her smile trembled. "I'm fine," she said. She wasn't. Her hand shook slightly around her glass. I told myself I was being responsible when I called her a car. I told myself I was protecting her when I stayed. But when she grabbed my wrist inside that car and whispered, "Please don't leave me alone," something inside me shifted. It wasn't desire. It was recognition, the kind that feels dangerous. At her apartment, she kissed me first. It wasn't seductive. It was vulnerable. And I broke. I let myself feel something for the first time in 3 years. The next morning I woke before she did. Dim light. Silence. Her hair across the pillow. And then I stood up and saw it, a small stain on white sheets. My stomach dropped. She had never been with anyone before. And it was me, her boss, 12 years older, sober enough to know better. I felt sick. She stirred behind me. "Daniel?" I couldn't look at her. "I should go," I said. And I left, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much, and was terrified of what that meant. The worst part? When she looked at me later and said quietly, "I chose you," I still didn't believe I was worthy of being chosen, and that's where everything began to fall apart. I tried to convince myself distance was mercy, that if I pulled back hard enough, fast enough, I could undo the damage. But Monday morning, when Lena walked into the office like nothing had happened, I felt something tighten in my chest. She didn't avoid me. She didn't glare. She just treated me like I was her boss again. Professional, calm, untouchable, and somehow that hurt more. I watched her through the glass wall of my office. She laughed softly at something a coworker said. Her hair was pulled back, her expression composed. Like that night meant nothing, like I meant nothing. The thought made something ugly twist inside me. But then the whispers started, low voices near the break room. "Did you see who left together?" I heard the CEO left early too. I didn't react. I never react. But I knew how this would go. If rumors spread, she would carry them. Not me. She would be the ambitious one, the reckless one, the girl who slept her way up. The injustice of that burned. So Wednesday evening, when most of the staff had gone home, I walked to her desk. "Can we talk?" I asked. She looked up slowly. "Sure." Inside the small conference room, the silence felt thick. "I need to know if you're okay," I said. She held my gaze. "I am." "You were drinking," I pressed. I should have stopped it. Her jaw tightened. "I wasn't drunk," she said quietly. I knew what I was doing. I shook my head. "You gave me something you can't get back." Her eyes flashed. "I chose to," she said. The certainty in her voice shook me. "You felt safe," I muttered, remembering her whisper that night. "I did," she answered. And there it was again. That word, safe. No one had said that about me in years, but fear won anyway. "This can't happen again," I said. "People are talking. You'll be the one who pays." A crack appeared in her calm. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying we keep this professional." Silence, then a small nod. "Okay." She walked out before I could change my mind, and the second the door closed, I realized something awful. I hadn't protected her. I had rejected her, and I had no idea how to fix that. The silence she gave me was worse than anger. Anger I could handle. Cold professionalism? That broke something in me. For 2 weeks, Lena did exactly what I asked. Short emails, short answers, no lingering eye contact, no softness in her voice. She treated me like I was just another executive, and every time she said, "Yes, Mr. Harper," something inside me twisted. She used to say my name differently, quieter, warmer. Now it sounded like a wall. At night, after my daughter fell asleep, I would sit on the edge of my bed and replay that conference room conversation. "I chose you." The words wouldn't leave me alone. What if she meant it? What if I wasn't protecting her? What if I was just afraid to be wanted? That question scared me more than the rumors ever could. Thursday afternoon, I left early to pick up my daughter from school. She ran into my arms like she always does. "Daddy!" And for a moment, everything felt steady again, until we stopped at a red light downtown. Through the coffee shop window, I saw Lena, alone, laptop open, shoulders slightly slumped, no one across from her. My chest tightened. "That's Miss Lena," my daughter said, waving at the glass even though Lena couldn't see her. I swallowed. "Yeah, you don't smile as much anymore," she added casually. The words hit harder than they should have. "What do you mean?" She shrugged. "When Miss Lena used to come by the office, you smiled different." "Different. Children notice everything. She's not scared of you like the others," my daughter continued. "She looks at you like you're just normal." Normal. I didn't realize how much I needed that until it was gone. That night, after bedtime stories and lights out, I sat alone in my living room. The apartment felt too quiet, too controlled, too safe, and I finally admitted something I hadn't wanted to see. I didn't push Lena away because I thought she was fragile. I pushed her away because she saw me, and that kind of intimacy terrified me. The next morning, an envelope sat on my desk, my name written neatly on the front. I opened it, and my world shifted. It was her resignation letter. I read her resignation letter 3 times, each time hoping the words would rearrange themselves. They didn't. 2 weeks' notice, polite, grateful, professional. No emotion, no accusation, no mention of me. That hurt the most. She had erased us so cleanly it was like I imagined it. My chest felt tight as I walked straight to the creative floor. Her desk was empty. Laptop gone. Chair pushed in neatly. Like she had already begun disappearing. I called her. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. I texted, "We need to talk." No response. For the first time in years, I felt out of control. Not business pressure. Not grief. Something worse. Regret. I left the office early and drove to her apartment. I stood outside her door longer than I care to admit. I almost left. I almost chose pride again. Instead, I knocked. No answer. I called her once more. This time she picked up. "Hello?" Her voice was flat, distant. "Where are you?" I asked. Silence. "It doesn't matter." That stung. "Lena, please. I need to talk to you." "You made yourself clear, Daniel," she said quietly. "You want distance? I'm giving it to you. That's not what I want." The truth slipped out before I could edit it. Another silence. Then softer. "Then what do you want?" I leaned my forehead against her door. "I was wrong," I said. "I thought I was protecting you. I was just scared." "Of what?" "Of feeling something again. Of losing someone again." Her breath caught slightly. "I'm not her," she whispered. I closed my eyes. "I know. But you treat me like I'm temporary," she continued. "Like I'm something you'll regret once you wake up." "That's not—" "It is," she cut in. "And I can't be the girl you keep pushing away when it gets real." The hallway felt smaller. "You deserve better," I admitted. "You're right." The line went quiet. Then she hung up. I stood there staring at her closed door. And for the first time since my wife died, I felt that same hollow ache. Only this time I had caused it, and I didn't know if I could undo it. The days after that call felt heavier than the 3 years I spent grieving my wife. Back then, the pain had a name. Loss. This was self-inflicted. I had something fragile and real in my hands, and I crushed it because I was afraid to hold it. I went through the motions at work, meetings, contracts, approvals. I signed things without reading them. Sarah, my VP, asked if I was feeling okay. "I'm fine," I said automatically. I wasn't. Every time I walked past the creative department, I felt it. Her empty desk. HR had already posted her position. I deleted the notification the second it hit my inbox. That night, my daughter came into the living room holding her sketchpad again. She climbed beside me and flipped it open. It was the same drawing. Me. Her. And a woman with dark hair and a blue dress. "Families come in all shapes," she told me softly. "My teacher said that." I swallowed. "Do you want Miss Lena to be part of ours?" I asked carefully. She nodded without hesitation. "She makes you less sad." The honesty in her voice knocked the air out of me. "Was I sad?" I asked. She looked confused. "A little." That word hurt more than anything. A little. I had built this entire life around control and responsibility, and my 7-year-old could see through it. After she went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with a blank piece of paper. I tried writing Lena a message. Apologies. Explanations. They all sounded corporate, detached, cowardly. None of it said what I actually meant. What I meant was simple. I miss you. I was scared. I don't want distance. But fear still hovered in my chest. What if she didn't believe me anymore? What if I had already taught her not to? Around midnight, I finally understood something I had been avoiding. If I wanted her to trust me, I had to stop hiding behind my title, behind control, behind excuses. The next morning, I called Sarah into my office. "I'm stepping down as CEO," I said. And even as the shock hit her face, for the first time in weeks, I felt certain. Sarah stared at me like I had lost my mind. "You built this company," she said slowly. "Why would you walk away?" "Because control had become my shield, and I was tired of hiding behind it. I need to make a decision that isn't about power," I told her. "And I can't do that sitting in this chair." She studied me carefully. "This is about her, isn't it?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. By the end of the day, the announcement was drafted. Clean, professional, strategic transition. I would stay on as an advisor. Sarah would take over. When I hit send, my hands trembled. Not from fear, from relief. For the first time since that morning in Lena's apartment, I wasn't running. That evening, I drove to her place again. No calls, no warning. Just me and whatever courage I had left. When she opened the door this time, she looked tired. Guarded. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I stepped down," I said. She blinked. "From what?" "CEO." Silence filled the space between us. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. "Because I can't ask you to trust me while I'm still the man who had power over you." Her jaw tightened. "I never asked you to give that up." "I know," I said. "This isn't about earning points. It's about removing the excuse I used to push you away." She looked at me like she was trying to decide if I was serious. "You hurt me," she said quietly. "I know. You treated what happened like it was something dirty. Like I was." The words sliced through me. "You weren't a mistake," I said, voice breaking. "That night was the first time in years I felt alive. And that terrified me." Her eyes softened just a little. "I didn't give you that because I was drunk," she said. "I gave it to you because I trusted you." I stepped closer. "I see you now," I said. "Not as fragile, not as someone I have to protect. Just you." She studied my face. "Why now?" she asked. "Because losing her felt worse than any risk. Because my daughter noticed I stopped smiling. Because I was tired of being safe. But what I said was simpler. Because I don't want distance. I want you." Her breath caught, and for a moment, I didn't know if she was going to close the door or open it wider. She didn't answer right away. That scared me more than if she had. Her hand stayed on the door. Her eyes searched my face like she was looking for hesitation, for ego, for control. "I don't need grand gestures, Daniel," she said quietly. "I needed you to stay." The simplicity of that broke something open in me. "I know," I whispered. And I didn't. Silence. My chest felt tight. "If I let you back in," she continued, "I can't be the girl you panic over. I can't be the person you shut out when you get scared." "You won't be," I said too quickly. Her eyebrow lifted slightly. "Don't promise what you haven't practiced." That was fair. I took a slow breath. "I'm scared," I admitted. "I still am. But I don't want fear making decisions for me anymore." Her expression shifted. Softer, still cautious. "You really stepped down?" she asked. "Yes." "For me?" "For us," I corrected gently. "For the possibility of us." That word hung between us. Possibility. Not pressure. Not obligation. She stepped back from the doorway, just slightly. "Come in," she said. Relief flooded my body so fast it almost made me dizzy. Inside, nothing had changed. Same couch. Same soft lamp in the corner. But everything felt different. We sat across from each other at first. Distance still there. "I was hurt," she said finally. "Not because you were scared, but because you made it sound like I didn't know my own choice." I nodded. "I thought I was being honorable," I said. "But I was being arrogant." That made her lips twitch slightly. "That's the first honest thing you've said." A small spark, tiny, but real. "I don't regret that night," she continued softly. "Do you?" I swallowed. "No," I said. "I regret how I handled it." Her shoulders relaxed just a fraction. "That matters." We sat in silence again, but this time it wasn't heavy. It felt careful, like rebuilding something fragile. Then she looked at me in a way she hadn't in weeks. Not guarded, not distant, just steady. "If we try again," she said, "it has to be slow." Slow, not rushed, not hidden. Slow meant real. And that scared me in a different way, because slow meant I couldn't run. And for the first time, I didn't want to. Slow sounded simple. It wasn't. Slow meant no hiding behind urgency. No letting desire blur responsibility. It meant sitting across from her on that couch and actually talking. And that terrified me more than that night ever did. We started with honesty. Real honesty. "I haven't been with anyone since my wife died," I told her. The words felt exposed. I didn't want to feel disloyal. Lena's expression softened. "You're allowed to move forward," she said gently. "Grief isn't a contract." I looked down at my hands. "I don't even know who I am without control," I admitted. "That's not true," she replied. "I saw who you were when you weren't controlling anything." "When?" "That night. You were just present. Present, not CEO, not widower, not father trying to be perfect, just a man who stayed." Her voice softened. "You felt safe to me because you didn't try to impress me." I felt something warm settle in my chest. "And you," I said carefully, "don't have to be strong all the time either." She looked surprised. "I know you think I'm fragile," she added quickly. "I don't," I said firmly. "I think you're brave. You walked back into that office after everything." Her lips parted slightly. "I almost didn't. That was new." "You didn't show that," I said. She gave a small smile. "I didn't want you to think I regretted it." My chest tightened again. "You never were a mistake," I said quietly. "I know," she replied. And this time I believed she meant it. The air between us shifted. Not heavy, not electric, just steady. She leaned back into the couch. "So," she said softly, "what does slow look like to you?" I hesitated. Coffee without pressure, walks without expectations, meeting my daughter without it feeling like a test. But there was one thing I hadn't asked yet. "One question," I said. Her eyes lifted. "What happens if I mess this up again?" She didn't answer immediately. And that uncertainty, that pause, made my heart pound harder than anything else. She didn't rush to reassure me. That alone told me this was real. "If you mess it up again," she said slowly, "then I'll walk away." The honesty stung, but it also steadied me. No drama, no chasing, just done. I nodded. "You deserve that," I said. "I deserve consistency," she corrected gently. Consistency, not perfection, not grand sacrifices, just showing up. The simplicity of it made me realize how complicated I had made everything. "I don't need you fearless," she continued. "I need you honest when you are afraid." That landed deeper than any accusation. I moved a little closer on the couch, not touching, just reducing the distance. "I was afraid you'd see how broken I still am," I admitted. Her gaze softened. "I already see it," she said quietly. "And I'm still here." Something in my chest loosened, not fixed, but softer. We talked for hours after that, about her father's remarriage and how it reopened old wounds, about how she learned to hold herself together because no one else did, about how that night wasn't about impulse. It was about wanting to feel chosen for once. "You didn't take anything from me," she said again. "I gave it, and I don't regret giving it to you." I let that settle, this time without arguing. Around midnight the room felt warmer, calmer. She shifted slightly closer. Our hands brushed. A simple touch. No urgency. No desperation. Just quiet warmth. And it hit me. This felt different than before. Not intense. Not overwhelming. Steady. The kind of feeling that builds instead of burns. "I want to meet your daughter," she said suddenly. My heart skipped. Not fear exactly, but awareness. "That's a big step," I said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm not rushing it. I just don't want to be hidden." Hidden. That word made me wince. "I would never hide you," I said softly. She studied my face. "Then don't treat me like something fragile that needs secrecy." I reached for her hand fully this time. "I won't." But even as I said it, a small voice in my head whispered a question. Was I ready for her to become part of my real life? Not just my feelings, my world. The first time Lena met my daughter, I was more nervous than I had been the night of the company gala. That surprised me. This wasn't scandal. This was real. We kept it simple. Saturday afternoon, the park near our apartment. Ice cream after. No pressure, no labels. Just an introduction. Lena walked toward us in a light blue sweater, hair loose over her shoulders. She looked calm. I wasn't. My daughter squeezed my hand. "That's her, right?" "Yeah," I said, my voice tighter than I meant it to be. Lena crouched down when she reached us. "Hi," she said warmly. "I've heard a lot about your volcano project." My daughter's face lit up instantly. For the next hour I watched them. Really watched. Lena listened when my daughter talked. Not the distracted adult listening. The real kind. Eye contact. Follow-up questions. Laughing at the right moments. She didn't try too hard. She didn't try to replace anyone. She just showed up, and my daughter leaned into her naturally. At one point, my daughter ran off toward the swings, and Lena stood beside me quietly. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm thinking," I admitted. "Dangerous," she teased softly. I exhaled. "This is what scares me." She didn't look offended. "Because it matters?" she asked. Because if I lose this, I said, glancing toward my daughter, it won't just hurt me. Lena stepped closer. You don't lose people by loving them, she said gently. You lose them by pushing them away. The truth of that hit deep. Later, as we walked back to the car, my daughter slipped her hand into Lena's without hesitation. I froze for a second. Lena glanced at me, uncertain. I didn't pull away. I didn't control it. I let it happen. That night, after I tucked my daughter into bed, she looked up at me and whispered, She makes our house feel bigger. Bigger, warmer, alive. I sat alone in the living room after that. Not grieving, not afraid, just aware. I had spent years surviving. Then I almost sabotaged the first real chance at living again. But this time, when Lena texted me, Did today scare you too much? I didn't retreat. I didn't deflect. I answered honestly, No, it scared me just enough to know I want it. And for the first time since I saw those stained sheets, I didn't feel guilt. I felt gratitude, because what I thought was a mistake was actually the beginning of something worth fighting for.